In this video, I am going to give a definition of statistics and give you some real-world examples where statistics is used in the real world. So most of your videos are going to be like this, where I'm going to be writing on a sheet of paper. So this is kind of like me writing on a chalkboard. I even have green paper here. And what I write here, these would be great things if you're keeping notes. You can put those in your notebook. Every now and then I might throw in some videos from YouTube if I think that they're informative, entertaining, if they might help generate some interest. Certainly more entertaining than me just talking here. So don't worry about the video that you just saw. I think it probably came from a textbook company back in the 80s, and the steps that they use for statistics are not necessarily the steps that everybody uses. And in particular, our textbook do not use those same steps, and so those are not anything that you need to memorize. So let me start here with a definition of statistics. So here's how I'm going to define it. So statistics, let me get it focused here. Here. Boy, there we go. Okay, and then and now I can autofocus it. That's still not the greatest. Hold on just a second. It usually does pretty good. There we go. There we go. Now it's I can lock the focus there. Okay. So here's how I'm going to define it. So statistics is kind of the science of collecting, organizing, analyzing, and drawing conclusions based upon data. So here's the idea. In life, we got lots of decisions to make. So if you're running a business, if you're a governor or a medical worker, you got to make decisions, and you can base your decisions off of what you think is a good idea, kind of off the top of your head, what you know. But if there is data that could inform you about the situation so that you could make the best decision possible, then it would be helpful to know how to collect and organize that data and how to analyze it, and ultimately how to use the data to draw the best conclusions that you can so that you can make the best decisions possible. And so this is the idea behind statistics, and it's a huge field. You can get a degree just in statistics. But as it turns out, it's becoming more and more important in the world, because we now have software that can do a lot of the number crunching. So when you pick out a data set, it can have thousands of values. And less than 50 years ago, we didn't even have calculators. And so it was very impractical to try to organize and put all those values into formulas. And so not a lot of people were doing statistics. A very interesting thing, I don't know if you've seen the movie Apollo 13, but that's a great movie. It's where there was I think a malfunction on the space shuttle. It was during the Apollo program when they were trying to send man to the moon, and something exploded on the space shuttle, and they had to bring the astronauts home safely. And so all the engineers had to figure out how to get them home. And when they started working and they had all these calculations to do, the people did not have a calculator. They did not bring out a calculator. They actually brought out a slide rule. And if you don't know what a slide rule is, it's like a ruler, and it has an inner part that you can slide in and out, and the scales on that ruler are logarithmic scales. And if you've done logarithms before, adding logarithms is like multiplying their bases. And so by using the slide rule, they could actually perform their calculations. So less than 50 years ago, that's how people, or actually it was 50 years ago, I think, last summer, that's how people did calculations. They didn't even have computers. But now we got not only calculators, but we got computers, and even on our smartphones, we have the ability to like email someone a set of data, and then we can tell the phone to calculate all the whatever information we need, and it can do it in just seconds. And that makes statistics very, very practical. And now that we have that sort of ability, more and more people are wanting to know, how is statistics used? How can we use it to make the best decisions possible? An example, I was at Olive Garden one time with my family, and someone was sitting, one of the managers was sitting at a table with a laptop open, and I noticed that it was a database, and so I was interested, and I went over there, and sure enough, they were putting in information. They're putting in data like how many customers there were, what they ordered, how long they were there. They're putting in all of that into a program that Olive Garden uses, and that program does the number crunching, and then it helps them make better decisions. How many people to hire, what sort of prep work to do, things like that. It's even a restaurant is using statistics. So statistics is becoming very, very important. And so here are some examples where it's used. So like Olive Garden, pretty much any business could use statistics to make better decisions. The government, they got a lot of decisions to make, decisions that affect all of us. And so even if the actual, senators or congressmen, even if they don't know how to do statistics, or even if they don't do statistics themselves, they hire people that actually collect the data and do the statistics and then advise them on the situation. And so that's a place where it's used. Like I said earlier, medical research to know if certain treatments are effective or if certain drugs are safe. I think it's medical. There we go. Medical research. You got like the Food and Drug Administration that inspect food and make sure that it's safe, and just quality control in general. So like industry, like John Deere's or other places, in order to ensure safety or to ensure that certain government regulations are being met, there's people that have to test products and from that draw conclusions. So quality control is a place where it's used. Education. Not only, do we use tests to see whether students have learned the material, but we might use it to place students into different classes. Also, people use statistics in order to test different teaching methods to know whether they're effective or not. They'll do a statistical study. So that's another place that it's used. And we could go on and on. Let me end with one more. Insurance. So there's actually a name for this, and it's actuarial science. And so actuarials are people that collect data and use that to decide how much an insurance company needs to charge in order to earn a profit. And so here's a really good example. Before I was married, I met my wife on eHarmony, and she lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and her car insurance was like $2,600. So if you read the About Me, you'll learn there that I have Tourette syndrome, and so I shake my head, and so I never really drove a car, and so I didn't know how much car insurance cost. And so we were, before we got married, we were working out our budget, and we had $2,600 for car insurance reserved in our budget. And then when we actually went and bought car insurance here in Iowa, we found out the car insurance was like only $700. And so it was a lot less here in Iowa than it was in California. And so the reason for that, of course, is California, there's a lot more people. The risk of getting into a car accident is much greater. Also, the standard of living in San Francisco is very, very high. It costs a lot of money to live there, so they need to be earning more money out there than they do here. So there's all those factors that come into play, and an actuarial is someone who takes all of that information, and then they use that to decide what the rates, the insurance rates, needs to be. And so that's actually a job. The people that are actuarials, they can actually earn quite a bit of money. They definitely they definitely earn more than teachers. These are just some ways that statistics can be used. Okay, and certainly these are not the only ways. You could think of some ways, and usually when I'm in an actual classroom, I'll ask people if they have some other ways, and I've heard some really interesting things. But not only can statistics be used, it's important to realize that statistics can be misused as well. There's actually a book. I have it right up here on my shelf. Let me grab it here. This is a book called How to Lie with Statistics, and it's a famous book. And it's not a technical book. It's an entertaining book, as you can see. And it was written by someone that was the editor of several magazines back in the, in the 50s or something. And he just realized that statistics was used to mislead people. And he just did some research, all the different ways that it can be used to mislead people. And so he has some examples. So the sample with the built-in bias, the well-chosen average, little figures that are not there, much ado about practically nothing, the gee whiz graph, the one-dimensional picture, the semi-attached figure, post hoc rides again, how to statisticulate, how to talk back to statistics. So this is kind of a neat book, and there's other books that are like it, and there's videos on YouTube that show how statistics can be misused. It's important, though, for us to realize that first and foremost, statistics is a tool that we can use. We can use statistics to help us make good decisions based upon what the data says. It's not the only tool. Our common sense is important. Sometimes people will use statistics and maybe use it wrongly, and then they will do something against common sense because they don't think, the numbers don't lie, and so they have to follow what statistics says. But they should have went with common sense. So statistics is not the only tool, but it is a tool that you can use. So first and foremost, we need to realize statistics can be used. And if you're the one using it, you just need to make sure you're using it correctly so that you get valid results. But it's also important to know that people can then misuse statistics to mislead you and to kind of get their agenda across. And I think the best way to learn how statistics can be misused, a book like this is great, or videos on YouTube, but the best way is to know how statistics is used, and then you can know the different areas. If you know how to use it, you can know the different places that people can cheat or alter in order to mislead people. So the best way to protect yourself against the misuse of statistics is to know how statistics is used, and that's what we're going to be doing in this class. And so the third video for this set of videos is actually a TED Talk, and it's very entertaining, and it's by a doctor, I think a medical doctor, but he's very entertaining, and it gives you a lot of examples of how statistics can be misused, in particular how it can be misused and is misused in the pharmaceutical industry. So it's very informative, and so I hope you enjoy that.